Hey everyone, today I'm going to be ranking all 8 of the Child's Play / Chucky movies. Now, I recently watched all of these movies and I think I have to say that this is probably my favourite horror franchise. I really like A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, but the Child's Play franchise is just infinitely rewatchable for me. I think I'm just going to watch it multiple times over the course of my life, more than any other horror franchise, I believe. And I'm really excited to talk to you about them today. So let's just jump straight into it. Now, by far, my least favourite film in the franchise, without question, at all, is the Child's Play 2019 remake. This movie just should not have been made. Don Mancini's franchise had been going on for 31 years when this movie came out. And Mancini's franchise was one long, unbroken story that is going so strong. They'd just come off The Cult of Chucky, which was fucking great, and they just announced a TV show. And what does the studio do? Create a remake. Now, yes, a remake doesn't erase the original, but why, when there's one franchise that is going so strong, do you have to create a separate strand of continuity and confuse new viewers? Why? This is Don Mancini's franchise, and the studio could have made a movie about an AI doll, but no, they have to go and fucking stamp all over his legacy and create a really genuinely terrible remake. I don't care if, I think it was Warner Bros. I don't care if they have the rights to it. Leave it the fuck alone. It's Mancini's franchise. Mancini, Jennifer Tilly, they were all against this remake happening. I mean, just have a bit of fucking decency. How dare you? That really pisses me off. Anyway. Putting all that bullshit aside, which pisses, like, one of the most offensive movies ever made. I can't even imagine being a fan from the 80s of Child's Play and then having this happen. I can't imagine what Don Mancini would have felt. Fucking pisses me off. Anyway, putting all that aside, the fact that this movie shouldn't have been made and is one of the most offensive movies ever. This movie is genuinely awful. Chucky looks terrible. I really hate the way he looks. He's too stupid. Mark Hamill did the voice for him. I think the voice is awful. There's no personality at all. I legitimately can't even remember what he sounds like. Brad Dourif as Chucky has such a distinctive voice that is instantly recognizable. But just this voice was just awful. The plot in this movie just happens for plot reasons. There's no sense of actual reason or logic. 2 examples I can think of off the top of my head. The first one is the severed head in the wrapping paper. Why couldn't Andy have just told his mum, hey, this is all just a bunch of spare wrapping paper and bits of cardboard from the box of the doll that you wrapped up and gave to me for my present. I'm just going to put it in the bin. Instead, he had to make a big deal and some bullshit reason, excuse like, I'm going to deliver it to the lady next door for a present. And then that happens, and like, you know, it just creates a big feeling of suspense throughout the rest because you're like, oh my god, what if she realizes that it's not a present, it's a severed head? Like, that could have easily been avoided. Any sense of logic, like, just could have avoided this whole entire segment of the movie. Anyway, the second thing I'm thinking of kind of comes back to this because Andy gets handcuffed by Mike Norris at the supermarket and his mum is there with him and then his mum's like, hey, I've got to go. Right, like, you know, as everything's getting bad. Right as the whole supermarket's been locked down. Why did she have to go? She didn't have to go for anything. They could have just stayed there together and then she wouldn't have ended up being kidnapped by Chucky and she wouldn't have ended up nearly dying. Why couldn't have they just been together and then when they got the thing open, they just left? Like, if you've seen the movie, it's kind of hard to explain. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. She's just like, hey, I'm just gonna go. But like, why does she have to go? And then she ends up getting her head put in the noose, and it's just terrible. The side characters in this movie are just atrocious. Like, really, really atrocious. I can't stand any of them. Especially that fat fuck. I don't like him. They're all very just the most basic stereotypes, just like handpicked out of a hat and just jammed in this movie. This movie's never fun either. It's always very mean-spirited, and when it tries to be fun, it comes off as annoying. And it's just... Chucky is supposed to be mindless, just silliness. But it's so mean-spirited. Like, that scene with the cat. Like, Chucky kills the fucking cat and then replicates the sounds of the cat being strangled to death to the kid at night. That's not fucking funny. That's not even scary. That's just mean. If I have to give this movie one positive, one thing that keeps it from being just the bottom of the barrel movies of all time, it's the supermarket massacre. It's kind of creepy when he locks everyone in. Aside from that, I have nothing positive to say about this movie, and I think I'm just going to end it on a little story, a true story that happened. Very, very short story. Don't worry, I'm not going to go on too much longer. I've been going on forever. I had this friend who's like, oh, have you seen Child's Play? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, oh, how good is it? I'm like, yeah, it's really good. And he's like, I really, really like the scene when the guy gets hanged in the Christmas lights. And I'm like... And then he says, they're making a TV show out of it. I think I'm going to have to watch that. This movie does nothing but confuse people. Fuck this movie. I've already been recording for 10 minutes. Jesus Christ. Alright, let's just go. At number 7 on my list, we have Child's Play 3. Now, listen, basically there's just nothing to this movie. You got a bland cast of characters, a bland setting, just... There's just nothing to really talk about, so I've gone on for a very long time about the Child's Play remake, and basically I have nothing to say about this movie. Do I hate it like the way I hate the remake? No. But aside from some admittedly awesome one-liners from Chucky, do I like it at all? Again, I'll try and mention a couple of positives. So, as I've already said, some awesome one-liners by Chucky. There are just... some of them are great. I do actually think the bullet swap is actually really quite scary. I think it's a really, really cool moment. And I think that the final set piece is awesome, even if it makes no sense in, like, you know, size proportion to the actual carnival and just where the carnival is located in general. It's a really cool set piece, and I think it's a cool end to it. But aside from that, I've got really nothing to say about Child's Play 3. Coming in at number 6 on my list, we have Seed of Chucky. Now, this is one of the most maligned films in the franchise. People just... you go onto Letterboxd and you see just... It's like just so many people have given it every different rating. It is so divisive. And I'm here to say that it's not particularly good. It gets extremely convoluted. The stuff with Tilly and Jennifer Tilly and Tiffany, and like, it's Jennifer Tilly's body in a movie in the same franchise after Jennifer Tilly herself has played Tiffany Valentine, and then Tiffany Valentine's soul being put into Jennifer Tilly, who is actually Jennifer Tilly's body, but she's possessed by Tiffany. Listen, it gets confusing and convoluted, and it makes next to no sense. Listen, I might be the first one to say this, but Glenn/Glenda sucks. Every time it came on screen, I was just like... This movie gets a bit boring in parts too, like, to be honest. It gets really boring. But at the same time, it can't balance the boringness and the craziness, because it's like, you have absolutely jack shit happening, and then you have Chucky jacking off into a cup to put into a turkey baster to impregnate Jennifer Tilly. And you're just like, whoa! What the fuck? It gets a bit much, this movie. Anyway, some positives. Brad Dourif and Jennifer Tilly, again, are absolutely excellent. And some of their scenes when they're bickering over killing and stuff like that is just hysterical. I absolutely love it. And it has maybe my favourite scene in the entire Child's Play franchise. And that is when Chucky kills Britney Spears. Son of a bitch! Up yours, asshole! So yeah, even though this is one of the weakest in the franchise, there is still a lot to love. At number 5 on my list, we have Bride of Chucky. Now, this is a fantastic movie. I basically can say that I love this movie. Aside from Jade and Jesse's relationship, which just really does its best to sink it for me. Which is a shame because the rest of this movie is fucking great. Jennifer Tilly is easily the best addition to the franchise. I think she's just great as both Tiffany, like the doll, and Tiffany in human form. I think that the ending of this movie is so crazy. I could not believe that happened. And I don't really have that much to say about this movie aside from the fact that it is extremely hilarious. So I'm just going to put a few clips up of just some of my favourite moments from this movie.
Who the fuck is Martha Stewart?
Spell woman. T-C-H. That is incorrect.
Shows how much you know. Those dishes aren't gonna wash themselves, you know. Life sure is full of surprises. Where the hell did you learn to bake? That's more like it.
At number 4 on my list, we have Curse of Chucky. Now, I just want to get this out of the way. I love all of these movies from now on. I really, really like every single one. First off, the best part of this movie is Fiona Dourif. She is the second best addition to the franchise after Jennifer Tilly. She is fantastic. This movie has some excellent suspense in scenes too. It uses simple tricks, just like the Hitchcock advice. If you've got a bomb under the table and the audience doesn't know about it and it goes off, that's a shock. But if you know that if the audience knows that there's a bomb under the table, that's suspense because you're waiting for it to go off. And that's what the whole dinner sequence is. It's simple, like just suspense rules, but it's executed perfectly. I really, really like the gothic vibes in this movie. I really like the house. I like the setting. I really think it's super clever that they have Fiona Dourif's character, Nika Pierce, in a wheelchair, because people probably kind of realize that this long, like after this many movies, eventually you're just gonna fucking say, well, just kick the doll in the face. You remove that ability from our protagonist, everything becomes a lot more interesting, and that was a really, really clever choice by Mancini. I think the whole cast of characters is great too. I think everyone in this movie is fantastic. I think they're pretty much all dickheads, aside from Nika and the little girl, but they're very interesting and engaging, and I love being around them just because I just love seeing what happens to them. They're really, really well written. And once Brad Dourif starts speaking, he doesn't speak for like the first 45 minutes, maybe even more of this movie. His one-liners are great. And I have to say, that's not a problem at all that he doesn't speak. It's because the movie is so well written and so many good scary scenes of suspense that you don't even notice. And you go into a Chucky movie, especially the 6th one in the franchise, wanting funny one-liners. But when you're able to pull that off, that's just incredible. I'll put on a couple of my favourite lines from this movie right now too.
Where's Grandma?
In the cellar.
What's she doing down there?
Nothing. You have your mother's eyes, and they were always too fucking close together!
This movie also has some fantastic kills, like really, really excellent ones, especially the stabbing through the eye, which you just saw, and the electrocution scene. But I'm not going to say this is a perfect movie because there are some problems. There is some unnecessary backstory which kind of bites off a little bit more than it could chew, and it creates some continuity issues with the first movie. But yeah, aside from that, I really don't have many problems with this movie. It's great. At number 3 on my list, we have Cult of Chucky. Now, this was an even bigger surprise for me than Curse, because I just couldn't see how it could sustain such a great just vibe after Curse. But it did. It's different to Curse. It's got a much more of a slow burn style. It's really, really excellent. It's handled extremely well. I love having Andy Barclay back. He's great. Again, this movie has some great kills. I really like the one with like the oxygen, and he shoots it up into the glass roof and all showers down and cuts her up. It's kind of similar to the one in Bride of Chucky, but I think it's done better here. It has a really unique setting. You don't really expect a Chucky movie to be set in a mental hospital, but it's really good. It creates a really good dream-like feel, and it's just so... it just suits it really well. The last 20 minutes of this movie is bonkers. The multiple Chuckies is hilarious. Fiona Dourif being possessed by Chucky and ending up playing Charles Lee Ray is just... I was just cackling with laughter. It was so crazy. Having a daughter play the same character that her dad played in a movie nearly 30 years earlier is fucking hilarious. The multiple Chuckies, oh my god, like, I can't get enough Chucky. I'm so happy to have a literal cult of Chucky, and it has some hilarious lines. And basically, I think that Cult of Chucky is a fantastic movie, and just, I love this movie. Number 2 on my list, I've gone for the original Child's Play. Now, this is one where it could change pretty much depending on the day that I'm feeling. But today I'm feeling putting the original at number 2. This movie is fantastic. Like, straight up, it's a really good movie. Is it perfect? No. Is it, an amazing, mind-boggling experience? No. But it's a fantastic mystery story, even though you kind of figure out the mystery early on. But the way it's handled is really good. You've got a great cast of characters. I think Andy Barclay is fantastic. I think Catherine Hicks and Chris Sarandon are great too. Especially Chris Sarandon, I really, really like him, especially after how good he was in Fright Night. The battery reveal is great. I think that is just one of the best reveals. I think that the animatronic work also is just unbelievably good. Like, you watch this and you think it's amazing. And Brad Dourif, I don't need to mention, but he's so good in this movie. His voice is very iconic, much better than Mark Hamill's. And yeah, when Chucky first speaks, it is just hysterical. I was laughing so hard. And it's not only that scene, there's multiple hilarious scenes. Like when he's jumping out from the car and he's like, "Hey, Mikey!" When the old people find him in the elevator. It's a funny movie, and it's just really, really damn fun. I love the original Child's Play. But at number 1 on my list, I'm going to have to go with Child's Play 2. And as I said, this could be interchanged just any day of the week. But I think that I'm going to have to go with 2 today because I enjoy the faster pace. I like how it's a little bit shorter too. It's a shorter runtime, not much shorter, but still it's like 80 minutes long. So Chucky just gets down to it immediately. There's no waiting for Brad Dourif. He's hilarious throughout the entire film. Andy Barclay is fucking great again. He's actually done really, really well to sustain that character through 2 movies, especially for like an 8-year-old or whatever he was then. I thought he did a really good job. I also think Kyle is a great character. There's multiple funny Chucky scenes. I'll play a few of them now.
What's your name, buddy?
Chucky.
That's incredible.
How's it hanging, Phil?
You goddamn women drivers!
You've been very naughty, Miss Kettlewell.
Drive before I kick your fucking teeth in. I'm fucking trapped in here! If I don't get out of this body soon, I'll be trapped in here. What are you looking at?
And I really do believe that this movie has a fantastic climax. It's got a great setting, just a bunch of great moments, props, whatever. It's hard to kill Chucky, but the way he eventually goes out being blown up is incredible. And for all those reasons, I have to say that Child's Play 2 is my favourite of the franchise. So thanks everyone for watching this ranking of the Child's Play franchise. If you've seen all these movies or if you've only seen a few of them, let me know which ones you like best or which ones you don't like. Give them a ranking if you like. I like reading other people's opinions. But yeah, I'll see you next week. Bye.